Welcome back to Bottles with Babbitt. I'm your host, Brian Babbitt. Super excited about today's episode. We're going to be doing a vertical tasting of Frog's Leap Cabernet Sauvignon. But what is a vertical tasting? A vertical tasting is drinking the same wine from the same place over multiple years. Every year, there are countless factors that can impact how a wine tastes. From the weather, to when the grapes are picked, to infinite decisions that the winemaker makes when making the wines. Frog's Leap Winery has been organic since 1988, and they use no irrigation in their vineyards. They believe the wine should reflect their terroir, the soil, the weather, the circumstances. They let nature produce the quality wines that they have. In my wine journey, I have yet to do a vertical tasting, and I am beyond excited to try this one and share it with you all today. We chose Frog's Leap Winery for our vertical tasting because of Bottles with Babbitt friend and panelist, Squirrel. Squirrel, what's your affiliation with Frog's Leap?
I have been a member of Frog's Leap for over a decade.
And what does being a wine club member at Frog's Leap mean to you?
Frog's Leap is an all-organic winery, one of 7 wineries in the Napa area that does non-irrigation on their grapevines. So they actually let their grapevines sink into the earth, I believe, 30 years before they started growing wine, whereas a lot of others in the area only do like 5 to 6 years. And it produces a very beautiful, deep flavor.
So how do we choose these 4 Cabernet Sauvignons?
I'd say they chose me. I get 3 bottles every 4 months, and once a year I get a Cabernet Sauvignon, which they're very much well known for.
We'll be trying a 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2019 Cabernet Sauvignon. Let's meet the rest of our panel and get to tasting.
I am Brianna, born and raised in Napa, and moved to San Diego about 3 years ago.
I'm Squirrel. You know me, you love me.
My name's Andy Lowry, and I grew up in San Diego, California.
My name's Darius. Sorry. My name's Darius. I promise I'm not drunk.
My name's Brian Babbitt.
I would rate myself a solid 2.
I put myself at like a solid, I was 6 last time. I'm gonna go 6 again.
7 out of 10. 10 being Master Som, I'm at 6 actually.
Probably like a 9. I used to manage a winery. I worked in a vineyard. I know a lot about wine.
I would say is a 6.5. I'm not quite a 9 like Darius, but I mean, if Squirrel's still gonna stay at a 6, I have to assert dominance and make sure that I stay ahead of her so that I can teach her things, obviously.
How do you feel to be the most experienced wine person in probably not just the room, but the plant?
Uncomfortable.
Definitely doesn't taste or smell tainted, but I have not opened a bottle of wine this old, and I've never seen it like actually like come up the cork. It smells amazing.
Probably aggravated assault or premeditated murder. I guess homicide?
Kick to the balls, man or woman, same answer.
I didn't. They inputted my license plate incorrectly, so I never got the ticket.
Absolutely. Me, because I cheat.
How long do you have? Jeez, all of them.
All of them.
Not. Yeah.
Everything about your job is making you drink.
It's a job, not a career. Probably a Catahito is probably the most annoying one. It's espresso and liquor 43, and you have to shake it extensively to get the foam because that's what the drink is.
The grape mission. It was the first grape that we started vinifying in California. The monks brought it from Mexico, and there's mission all over the place. And people are trying to bring it back because it's cool, but it tastes horrible mostly.
Wine's an experience, for sure. It's something that you have a core memory, you bring everyone together, it just kind of highlights a fun point in your life. You can share it with people, and that's a memory that people always have. Like, maybe it's not like, oh, they remember the exact wine, but they're like, I remember we had a couple glasses, or we're having food, or we're at this thing, and wine's usually always present. So for me, it's a fun experience.
So we have our 4 wines. They're all been decanting for about an hour, hour and a half. For our vertical tasting, we're gonna start with the youngest, work our way to the oldest. The first one that we're gonna start with is the 2019.
Cheers.
That's dead. Just like, yeah.
I think the fact that it's been decanting for like an hour and a half out too definitely softens it up, that it's not gonna dry out your mouth quite as much.
I feel like it's a really drinkable, like if you're starting off in cabs, I think this is a good one to like, you know, oh, this is cool, I can like it, you know, and like I could recognize this flavor profile and like live with it. Versus sometimes you have those cabs that are just like so massive and so big and they're like,
Immediate stomach ache.
it's like, oh my gosh, but there's so much going on, but it's really, really nice.
Yeah.
I bet you that this being in 2019 and their Frog's Leap's like at the forefront of most things in the line. I bet you this is like 20-30% new French oak, and then the rest like third, fourth passage oak. So it's not that's bold as what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's a lot lighter in color than I thought. I can see through it, which I was not fully expecting, especially for a Napa cab. Usually they're pretty dark, they're opaque, you can't see through it. I'm getting a lot of the cherry notes, but I'm getting like a younger tartar cherry out of this one.
Probably a considerable amount of alcohol. It's like 14.1 probably, or
I love that you put the 0.1 in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very accepting. It's definitely different than what I would expect for a Napa cab too, and not in a bad way by any means, but like a lot of Napa cabs are like bold, they're in your face. This one I feel like a lighter steak, like this is a sirloin or like a flank steak. It's not quite the ribeye or filet mignon or prime rib that you would want with like a heavier full-bodied cab. So we just finished the 2019. The second one that we're gonna have is the 2016. Stepping down a few more years, we're gonna taste the difference between the terroir.
Cheers.
I can already smell a little bit of the age.
Yeah.
Like you get
Just
something
smells
different.
older.
Oh wow.
It's this one.
This one definitely has more tannin than the other one. Like,
But it starts off really gentle.
yeah.
It almost has like the buttery qualities of
Yeah.
Cabernet on the front end, where it comes in, it's just really slow and subtle and soft. And then as it like goes over your tongue, it opens up and it's like, oh, here's the flavor. It's like they're rolling out the red carpet for like,
Yeah.
here you go, drink the wine.
That's what I was just thinking too, which is interesting because as red wines get older, they lose the color.
So this is where I wish I knew about vintages in terms of weather patterns and what happened that year. That's something you only really get like with this. If you made it up to Napa every year for these things, let's say, then you'll be able to remember, oh, there was a fires or a drought that year. Like that's cool.
Because I do remember there's like good years and bad years. Like
And it was in the whole valley. Any red that you had, because there was so much fire and there was so much soot that came and back into the earth, everything was spicy. Some things that were supposed to be kind of on the sweeter side or more fruity side, it would just have this inherent spice.
Do you like this?
More or less. I like it more for different reasons. If you think of it subjectively of like, okay, is this good or bad? Or like you're just in the moment, to think of like what experience this would be of like, what would this go good with? Or what would I pair this with? First one, it's like, well, this would be great to serve at a party to kind of start things off, you know what I mean? But I think in this setting, I like this one more because it's just got more flavor, more character.
No.
it's really hard to follow this man. I'm like, I
This
think
should happen go last.
No, yeah, this is phenomenal. But if I had this a year ago, I'd be like, I don't like this. This is too much or too heavy. I can't do it.
This one is definitely more earthy than I was expecting. Like the last one is a lot more fruit forward. This one has a lot more earth and spice to it that I'm getting. Like the tannins are obviously screaming steak and the Napa cab is screaming steak to me, but I'm thinking just like a spicier, like more herbal dish out of this one.
9 out of 10 in wine, 8.7 like food.
I would say 10.
I was gonna say, I feel like
Petite Syrah. It's like a regular Syrah, just little. I like it because it's like your red wine that you pop open at the end of like a night. You kind of just take a few sips of it and it like warms your soul.
I used to say Pinot Noir. You know what? We're gonna go Petite Syrah. Squirrel Syrah.
Not Petite Syrah. I hate Petite Syrah. No, I'm just kidding. Nebbiolo or Cabernet Franc. Those are the two I always say. So I like Nebbiolo because most people like Pinot Noir. Nebbiolo is like a more serious, not always a more serious Pinot Noir, but it's different. They're compatible in a lot of ways. Cabernet Franc, I first tasted when I went to the Loire Valley in France, and me and my wife just fell in love with the grape.
Bordeaux. Still love a full-bodied cab. They are just absolutely delicious. I love the earthy tones to them. My go-to.
When I first turned 21, I got a job at Black Stallion Winery in Napa Valley. She hired me and I told her, I know red and I know white and that's it. I don't know what they're called, nothing. From there, they started educating me on like the different types of wine and like how to taste them.
I first got into wine in 2020. My pastor took us to a winery. I met the owner of Wilson Creek Winery in Temecula, and I was like, wow, you can own $1 million resort, drink wine all day. And then I went and watched all the somm films, got super into wine, and then got my somm certificate through the National Wine School, and then just started a business in wines.
I have 2 certifications, WSET Level 2, Wine Spirit Education Trust Level 2, and then Quartermaster Sommelier Level 1, studying for WSET Level 3 and Quartermaster Sommelier Level 2. We just finished the 2016. There was a pretty stark difference between the 2019 and the 2016. Not that it was bad, we all just liked it for our own different reasons. We're gonna try the 2015 and see what comes out of this one. Cheers.
I feel like it's a little more muted in a lot of ways. I don't smell the spice, and I smell a little more fruit, and everything's just kind of brought down a little bit.
Compared to the other two, I think this one is like very much like it's there, but like it's not forward.
As part
progressively, like, fruit is slowly just being lost.
Yeah.
As we go on.
I feel like this one is in between the two of them. Really? Yeah, like this one was definitely the most fruit forward. This one I was getting more of the earthy, spicier tones. I agree. This one I'm feeling is just literally like right between. There's a little bit of spice, a little bit of fruit, but not too much for either one.
The year prior to this, tasted like it had more age to it.
I feel like this one has a little more of those like traditional cab notes. The pepper, the spice, like the tannin kind of draws it, like lingers on the tongue a little bit more. I don't know, I kind of agree with them. Like I feel like the fruit is a little less primary in this. It's still there, but compared to the first two, it's not, you know, it doesn't sing to me immediately.
Like the Napa Cab. I feel like when someone says Napa Cab, I'm like, here you go. This is
a Napa Cab.
They always say it's like bottled poetry. It's that weird intersection of like where science meets art. From like a viticulture standpoint, you have cabs that have the traditional, these qualities that like are, you know, universal to anyone. Say, oh, this grape has this tannin profile, has these flavor profiles. But then you go to like Napa where they're making wine and they're like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna get pig shit and put it in a horn and put that horn underground and see like what that does to the grapes, you know what I mean? And just like, what the fuck?
It's more French than Napa, but yeah. One is like, it's unlike any other alcohol where you can find something that is like exactly specified for you because there's so much out there. There's millions of vineyards all over the world making infinite countless decisions of like how to do a wine one way versus another way and make like a wine that will fit you. Whereas whiskey's like, there's a lot of whiskeys, but there's only so many. But with wine is like, okay, well you got whites, you got rosés, you got reds, you got bubbles, you got orange.
I thought about this one a lot, actually. Marry Nicki Minaj, obviously. Fuck Cardi B, and I'd probably kill Ice Spice. She wants to be a Spice Girl. She's not a Spice Girl. She was cool, but like, I get it. You're from Brooklyn. You got red hair. Whatever. No one cares.
Blake Lively. Also, please bring Ryan Reynolds. Definitely Squirrel, hands down. I got you. Step it up, Ryan. Just try going to the gym once in a while. She goes regularly.
I mean, it's got to be Minaj. You know what I mean? Like super bass. This one is for the boys in the boom system. Top down, is the cool system.
The last wine of our tasting is a 2014 Cabernet Sauvignon. Opening these, having them in the decanters, definitely had the most unique smell, and I am very excited to try this. This is one of the oldest wines that I have tried. I've only had a handful that are, give or take, 8, 9, 10 plus years old. This one I am really stoked to try, and it's got an absolutely beautiful color in the decanter.
The smell is really clean.
It's still super youthful though. It's aged. This thing can go a lot longer.
I almost think it's brighter than the one before.
Very much so. It's got more fruitiness. And again, this kind of leads to that like terroir conversation of like what happened in 2016, is it?
Yeah.
I was a little worried when I was
agree.
smelling it because I do not like spice, but I think it tastes better in my palate than the one before.
It could have definitely been more on the oak train at this point in time. The spice could be coming from a longer period in Asian oak and maybe more new oak. And I don't know if they're toning back their oak usage, but I think they are. And so that could be the reason why it's more spicy.
Yeah. I personally smell the red fruit notes initially, but as you kind of breathe it in and just like inhale it and get a little bit deeper, it has like a earthy musk. Like it wasn't as prominent in the last one where I said like the last one was like green bell pepper. This one is almost like a mix between like, think of like a mushroom and a bell pepper. There's like this weird kind of little funk and then like a little bit of brightness to it. At least for me, that's what I smell.
So now that we tasted all of them, what was your favorites?
You know, Noir, like forward, I like the 19, but if I wanted to get into the cabs, I think 16 for what we're tasting.
Easily the 2016, I think, was the most like flavor profile that I enjoyed.
I would say the 15 because it is the most reminiscent of a Petit Syrah, but I think the 2016 would be the next closest.
In this setting, like doing a vertical tasting,
Nailed it.
the 16, because like when you're thinking about something being age worthy, you wouldn't want the 16 to taste like it has more age than the 14 did, which I think it did. But because like I was, I guess, looking for tasting an old wine with some oxidized qualities, the 16 showed it. But it was maybe the way you laid it down or the cork or something, but it aged nicely in just a few short years.
And that was definitely a big shock. And I mean, even just looking at the wines and like the lights that are coming down on it, this is super red for the 19. So my favorite was the 15, and then I'd say the 14, 16, and then the 19. The 15 to me, and I mean, it goes back to just having the personal aspect to tastings and what resonates the most with me. like that one tasted the most balanced. It was not too fruit forward, but it wasn't too spicy. Whereas the 19, that one was definitely very fruit forward to me. The 16 was a little bit more earthy tones to my standards, which I normally do like, but if I'm gonna drink a Napa Cab, I fully expect there to be some fruit aspect to it. The 15 had the perfect balance, just enough fruit, but it wasn't overpowering, but not too earthy. That's the one that I would really love to get with like a nice fatty ribeye, pair a bottle with that with a nice 1 pound ribeye or 2 pound, realistically. Thank you to Squirrel for supplying all of these Cabernet Sauvignons from Frog's Leap. Frog's Leap for making an amazing Cabernet Sauvignon for us to try and have a vertical tasting of today. We understand that our taste might not be your taste, but we want to have a diverse panel for you to be able to relate to us. If you like this video, hit the like, subscribe button, follow Frog's Leap, we'll have a link to them. Harvest Wine Co., reach out to them, follow them on all their social media channels. If you have any recommendations of videos for wines that you would like to see, leave us a comment below. For now, we're gonna go finish all of these wines. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.
Cheers!